Hello students. So as of now we have completed certain topics and I just wanted to discuss a few problems on that so that I can practice for tomorrow's exam. Alright, so I'll be making two different sessions, one on charges and the other one on Coulomb's law. Alright. So I would like you to go through all these problems, watch all of them, practice also, not just watch, practice them simultaneously, and this will help you score well in your exam basically, right? So these are the things that you have to keep doing. You have to keep solving as many problems as possible. All right, so let's start. So let's say that we got three different spheres. First, we'll be covering problems on charges. Okay. So we got three different spherical conductors. These are spheres. Okay. Let us call them A, B, and C. All right. So these three are conductors, spherical conductors. Spherical conductors of same size. So in the questions they may give you three spheres of same size, they may tell you, or they may also use this word identical. Identical means same size you have to consider. Okay, fine. Then what do we have to do in this question? So initially let us say that charge A is having -6 millicoulomb. Okay, charge B is having +3 millicoulombs and charge C is also having +3 millicoulombs. Alright, so these three are conductors. Now first, A and B are touched. A and B are touched. Okay, A and B are touched. So what will happen? See, by conduction method, you remember conduction method. What is this method used for? Conduction method is used for charging an object. Charging by conduction, we learned this. So when we touch, which objects, by the way, we use this only for conductors, right? We use it only for conductors. So when we touch A and B, some charge redistribution is going to happen. That means some charge from B is going to go to A, from A is going to go to B, right? And then finally they end up getting some net charge, both A and B. Basically, if initially the charge of A is -6, B is 3, after they touch each other, the charge may change on A and B. Okay, we'll see how to calculate that. Then after that, second step, this is the first step. In the second step, B is touched with C. Okay, B and C are touched. So here also conduction happens, yes or no? When B and C are touched, conduction happens. So first what is happening? A and B are touched. Okay, then B and C are touched. Okay, finally we have to find the charge on A, B and C, or rather say find the new charge on A, B and C. Okay, so how do we calculate? See, we can calculate the charge only when the spherical conductors are of equal size. Suppose say if A was of this size, okay, B was only this much. It is suppose, okay, it is not a part of this question, I'm just telling you, I'm explaining you some part. If A was this large and B was only this much, okay, and, are they of same size? No, they are not of same size. Then also if they touch, the charges are going to distribute. But will they distribute equally? No. So what is my point? When the size of conductors are identical, when the size of conductors are same, then charges are going to distribute equally. What charge is? Net charge. So charge on A is how much? -6. Charge on B is how much? 3. So what is the net charge on A and B? Q net means net charge on A and B before touching. Okay, before touching or before conduction. What is that value? -6 millicoulombs plus 3 millicoulombs divided by 2, because it is just -6 millicoulombs plus 3 millicoulombs. This is the net charge on A and B before touching. See, millicoulombs is very important. Why? Milli means 10 power -3. So you don't have to write like this. Even if you think in your mind, see, for example, even if I write -6 plus 3, in your head, in your mind, it should know that we are talking about millicoulombs. Okay, so -6 plus 3 is how much? -3. -3 what? Coulombs? No. -3 millicoulombs. Why? Because here we have millicoulombs. Now this is the net charge on what? Both A and B together. We added this with this and together they have -3 coulombs. then this charge is going to distribute equally after touching. So after touching, what is going to happen? Minus 3 coulombs is going to distribute equally. Equally means what? Half. Okay, so 3 by 2 minus coulomb. So this is a charge on A, so QA I am writing, and also it is a charge on B, but it is a charge when after touching. Okay, so final charge on A and B after touching is how much? Minus 3 by 2 and minus 3 by 2. So here let me write. Okay, after touching I am writing with blue color. So minus 3 by 2 millicoulombs and minus 3 by 2 millicoulombs. So first part is over. Okay, first part is over. For A and B, what is the final charge? So let me just put off final here. Final charge. Final. No, don't write final charge for B otherwise. 1 second. After touching. So I'm just writing 80 here. After touching. After touching. For this is before touching. Okay, before touching. Alright. Now what is happening? Now B and C are touched. Now, what is the new charge on B? The new charge on B is minus 3 by 2. This you have to forget about. Why? Because after touching A, the new charge on B, how much we are getting? Minus 3 by 2. Okay. Now, if B and C are touched. Alright, let me just write that with green color. Now, before touching, so BT I am writing for B and C. B and C. Before touching on B and C, what is the net charge? So, Q net is equal to minus 3 by 2 because the new charge on B is minus 3 by 2. And what is the charge on C? The charge on C is 3 before touching B. Okay. And that is equal to 3. So minus 3 by 2 plus 3 is how much? So basically minus 1.5 plus 3. So this becomes 3 by 2. 3 by 2 what? Milli coulombs. Remember this. Milli is very important. If you don't write milli, everything will go wrong. This is the net charge on B and C together. Okay, this is a net charge on B and C together. Now, this charge is going to distribute equally on what? B and C. So, how do we get that charge? So, let me write that here. So, on B, the new charge now is going to be what? 3 by 2 by 2. Because the net charge, half of this charge is going to be on B. And half of the charge is going to be on C. So 3 by 2 by 2 is how much? 3 by 4. So charge on B, the new charge on B is 3 by 4. And on C also it is going to be 3 by 4 because the charge is going to be distributed equally on B and C. So this charge is also gone now. And the final charge on B is what? 3/4 of 3 by 4, 3 by 4 millicoulomb. And on C, 3 by 4 millicoulomb. So what are the final charges then? On A it is? On A, the final charge is minus 3 by 2 millicoulomb. On B, the final charge is 3 by 4 millicoulomb. On C, the final charge is 3 by 4 millicoulomb. That's it. This is how you are supposed to solve. Step 1, what? First find suppose A and B are touching. Then what you should find? Net charge on A and B before touching. How much we got? Minus 3 coulomb. Then this after touching, they are going to distribute equally. Equally means what? By 2 you should do. So minus 3 by 2. So on both A and B, the charge is going to be minus 3 by 2. Then after that, what is the new charge on B? The new charge on B was minus 3 by 2 millicoulombs, right? Minus 3 by 2 millicoulombs. Then it was touched with C. Right now, what is the charge on C before touching? Before touching, the charge on C was 3. So find the net charge for that also. So minus 3 by 2 plus 3. So you'll get net charge is equal to 3 by 2 on what? B and C together. Now that 3 by 2 is going to distribute equally on B and C after touching. So this is after touching. So what is half of 3 by 2? 3 by 4. What is half of, again, for 3 by 2 is 3 by 4 only. So on QB and QC, the charge is going to be 3 by 4 millicoulomb. This you have to write. And 3 by 4 millicoulombs. Right? Now, if they ask you, suppose, okay, this part I am removing. Suppose if they ask you, what will happen after touching all of them, what will happen to A and B? Will they attract or repel? For that, what you should check? What is the final charge on A? Final charge on A we got equal to minus 3 by 2. So this is a negative charge. Minus 3 by 2, no? So on A finally we got negative. On B finally what we got? On B finally we got 3 by 4 plus 3 by 4. So minus and plus attract. So what we can conclude? Finally after conduction A and B attract. Okay. This is after touching. After touching. Okay. They attract. What about B and C? They repel. Why? Because here the charge is plus 3 by 4. Here also the charge is plus 3 by 4 millicoulombs. B and C repel each other. That's it. Okay? Alright, fine. Now, next question. Next question is, we got a rod here. We got a rod here and we have two spheres. Okay? Like this. We got two spheres touching each other. These spheres are conductors. Both of these spheres are conductors. So let me call them A and B. Although they don't look of same size, they are of same size only. Okay? Same size. So spheres, conducting spheres. Conducting spheres means they are conductors basically. Alright, they are conductors. Now, these are uncharged conducting spheres. And let us say the charge on this glass rod is positive. So what is a glass rod? Conductor or insulator? Obviously insulator only, no? Glass rod is an insulator. This information is not required. I'm just telling you extra thing. Alright, fine. Now, these two A and B are spherical conductors, but they are what? Uncharged initially. Uncharged initially, meaning what? They don't have any net charge. Now, is the glass rod touching this conductor A? No. Will charging happen? Yes. So here charging happens by what? Here charging happens by induction. Okay, here charging happens by induction. Anyway, so what is the question? Here we need to find the first question is what would happen if the rod is removed before the spheres are separated? What would happen if the rod is removed before the spheres are separated? So what is the meaning of this question? See, just now I told you, because of induction, what induction? These positive charges are going to attract negative charge on A, right? So because of induction, A and B are going to get charges. But the first question is, what would happen if the rod is removed before the spheres are separated? See, okay, let me show you what happens here. So because of positive charge, here you get negative charges, right? You get negative charges. Now actually inside A you have both negative and positive, but negative charge got attracted towards positive charge. Then what about the positive charge of A? It will get repelled. The positive charge will, not this positive charge. I'm not talking about this positive charge. There was positive charge inside A also, no? This positive charge will get repelled by the positive charge of the rod. So how will they get repelled? They will get repelled, and because this is conductor, this positive charges will go off this side. Okay, this positive charge. From here only they start moving to B, and finally on B they would look something like that. Did you get the point? Okay. Now the question is, we are removing of this rod, it seems. What we are doing? We are removing of this rod. So remove the rod. Remove the rod. Now what will happen according to you? What should happen? Now see, there is nobody here. Initially there was a rod. Okay, there was a rod. But now there is nobody to hold this negative charge. So slowly this negative charges again, they'll get attracted towards a positive charge. So again they'll get attracted. This positive charges will get attracted towards negative charge, and everything will become zero charge. What will happen? Zero charge means what? Here all the negative charges, they'll get attracted towards positive charges, and they'll go and combine with the positive charge. Well, net charge they'll make equal to 0. It will become like that again. Again they'll become uncharged. Alright. So for the first answer, so let me just put that again. So for the first answer, for first question, the answer is going to be the spheres become uncharged again. Okay. Again the negative. So negative. How will you write this answer? So let me write. So negative charges flow back to the positive charges and neutralize them resulting in both A and B, both spheres A and B becoming uncharged again, becoming uncharged again. Okay, what will happen? This negative, all these negative charges, they'll start flowing here, and they'll neutralize all of them. So again, they'll become uncharged. All right. What about the second question? If you want to copy something, you have this leverage now. You can pause the video and you can copy it. All right. What about the second question? The second question is, would the induced charge be equal in magnitude? Would the induced charge be equal in magnitude? What is the meaning of this? First of all, we'll keep the question only up to here. So what is the meaning of this? See, after we see, actually what happens, if I separate these two spheres, okay, before removing the rod, if I separate these two spheres, how will I separate these two spheres? So let us say, so this entire thing I'm removing off, I'm separating off basically. So before removing the rod, okay, rod is still there. So if I separate them off like this, B is here now. Okay, this is our B. What was there on B? We had positive charges. Now I have separated them before removing the rod. Now I can remove the rod. If you want, you can remove the rod. I mean, you have to remove the rod basically. So now what happened? These negative charges would repel inside A and they would spread everywhere. Okay, they would spread everywhere. So what do you get here? You get a completely negative charged A, like this. Okay, you'll get a completely negative charged A. Can I say A is charged? Yes. Now A is charged. What about B? Same thing happens with B also. You'll get completely positively charged B. Is this charged? Yes. So what did we do? So we separated the two spheres before we removed the rod. So rod was there, then we separated and then we removed the rod. What was the result of that? Both became charged. A became negatively charged and B became positively charged. Okay. Now the question that he's asking is, would the induced, so what do we call these charges? Induced charges. Because due to induction only it happened. It happened due to induction, no? We had a glass rod and because of which we got the negative charge on A and positive charge on B. The question that he's asking is, would the induced charge be equal in magnitude on A and B? That means on A, if the negative charges are 1, 2, 3, 4, say 10, and on B also, will it be 10 only? Is that what he's asking? Yes, he's asking that. Okay. So, yes, it will be same only. Why? Because these electrons from where did we get? Basically inside A, see, initially, what is the situation? I'm drawing it here, rough diagram. A and B, both were uncharged. Both were uncharged. We got a glass rod. When we got a glass rod, say 10 negative charges came here. 1, 2, 3, or say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 came. Okay. Then if 6 negative charges came here, how many positive charges will go here? 6. 3, 4, 5, 6. Because of this 6 negative charges, here you got 6 positive charges. Now when you remove the rod, how many negative charges you have? Minus 6. How many positive charges you have? 6. Okay, these are just the numbers. How will you find the charge? So for A, you will find the charge. So QA will be equal to, how many electrons are there? 6. We know this, no? Q is equal to Ne. So charge, we can find like this. Q is equal to Ne, right? So how many electrons we have? 6. What is the charge on one electron? 1.6 into 10 power minus 19. So you'll get some value. What value? Let us write 9.6 into 10 power minus 19. What about for B? So this is negative. What about for B? On B we have positive charge. How many? 6. What is the charge on one positive charge? 1.6 into 10 power minus 19. What will you get? Same, 9.6 into 10 power minus 19 coulombs. What is the difference? Here it is negative, here it is positive. That's all. So Will the magnitude of charge be same? First of all, will the magnitude of charge be same? Yes, it will be same. The answer is yes. Once again. Yeah. So what is the answer for the second question? Would the induced charge produced be equal in magnitude? Yes, it will be equal. I gave you the explanation just now, because here if we have 10, here also we'll have 10 charges only, right? The question actually was, even so, would the induced charge be equal in magnitude even if the size is different? Even if the size, even if the size of both the conductors or both the spheres is different, even if the size of both the spheres is different, will it be same? Say suppose if A is like this and B is like this, will the size be size is different? So will the charge still be same? In this case, yes. Why? Same logic. Because we got a glass rod, and if it produced say 6 charges here, it will produce 6 charges here also, no matter what the size is. But in the last question we learned that only the size of the spheres are equal in the last question by conduction when they're touching each other. Only when the size is equal, the charge will get distributed equally. A, B and C we took, no, that example. So there see we are doing it by conduction, by touching. Okay. Here what happened, when you use a glass rod, this glass rod is going to produce some charge on A. So say 1, 2, 3, 4. So where are the other positive charges going to go? They have to go to the other sphere. If there is another sphere like this, they have to go there only, irrespective of their size. Even if it is small, it has to go here. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Even if it is small, it has to go here. But with conduction, it's a different case. So what is the answer for this? Second question, would the induced charge be same even if the size of the spheres are different? Yes, it will be same. Okay. What's the last question? What will happen if the spheres are separated first and the rod is removed far away? Okay, what will happen if the spheres are separated first and then the rod is removed far away? So let me write the third question. So will happen? What will happen if the spheres are separated first and then the rod is removed far away? So you think, I'll give you 1 minute to think about this. What will happen if the spheres are separated first and then the rod is removed far away? What do you think should happen? We did this already. This will happen. First, if we remove that is what we should do to charge A and B. So, if the what was the initial situation? So, we had a glass rod positively charged. Okay. We had A, we had B, no charge initially, right? Then due to this positive charge, we got some charge on A, negative charge because of induction. And here we got positive charge because they are conductors. So, this positive charge came off here. Now, if we have first, we have to separate the spheres. It seems separate the spheres means what? This we have to do. Okay, separate means first A and B we have to separate. Obviously, keeping the glass rod like that near A only. What will happen? So A will be separated, B will be separated, and this A. Okay, fine. We separated now. So this is separated, and now the glass rod is removed far away. It seems it is taken far away. It is removed from here. What will happen? On A, charge will distribute because negative negative will repel. They will distribute everywhere on A, and on B also positive will repel. They will distribute everywhere. So what is happening? A is becoming completely negatively charged and B is becoming completely positive charged. This is what is happening basically. That's it. So A became completely negatively charged for the third question, and B became completely positively charged. Okay. Next. So Next question. Okay. One very simple question, let us do. So the next question is, how many electrons are 1 coulomb, or how many electrons are there in 1 coulomb of negative charge? So this we have done before also, but I just wanted to give you one small idea once again. How many electrons are there in 1 coulomb negative charge? So how do you find this? So you have to use Q is equal to Ne. You have to find how many electrons. That means you have to find the value of N. What is the charge given to us? 1 coulomb negative charge. Alright, so how will you find this? So 1 coulomb is 1 coulomb only. So 1 is equal to, what is the value of N? N. Into what is the value of E? E is equal to 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 coulomb. So 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 coulomb. So what is N equal to? 1 divided by 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 coulombs. How do you simplify this? So if you take 1 by, so 10 by 16 I can write into 10 power 19. Yes or no? This decimal I wrote 16 by 10. I removed the decimal, and this time I took to the numerator. Alright. This is 10 power minus 19. It went to the numerator and became 10 power plus 19. So one more 10 I am adding here. So 10 into 10 into 10 power 18. So 110 I took from 10 power minus 10 power plus 19 divided by this. I can write like this, 4 into 4. Okay, so this became what? 10 into 10 is 100. So 10 into 10 is 100 divided by 4 into 4. Alright, so what is this value? 4 ones are 425 are 4 ones are 4 6 are 24 point. You'll get 1. So after adding decimal you get 4 2s are 8, 4 5s are 20. So 6.25 into 10 power 18 what? Electrons. This is the value of N. So this is how you find the value of N. Okay. What is the question? How many electrons are there in 1 coulomb negative charge? So many electrons. That means in a box, if you put 6.25 into 10 power 18 electrons, this entire box will have how much charge? 1 coulomb charge. Okay, simple? Fine. Next question. Okay. So let us do one this type also. So we got in 1 gram of a solid. This question also I've done before actually in the class. We got 1. So the question is like this: in 1 gram of a solid, okay, there are 5 into 10 power 21 atoms. So inside 1 gram of solid, how many atoms we have? 5 into 10 power 21 atoms. If one electron is removed, from each of 0.01% atoms of the solid, okay, we need to find the charge gained by the solid. We need to find the charge gained by the solid. So how will you solve this question? So what is the information given? We have 1 gram of solid, it seems. Okay. Now if there is some solid, this is some solid. Okay. What is the mass of this? 1 gram. So inside this there are how many atoms? So inside this there are, like that, there are how many atoms? 5 into 10 power 21 atoms. Okay. Now electron is removed, it seems. So 1 electron is removed from how many? Each of 0.01%. So 0.01% atoms of the solid. So see, total number of atoms are how many? Total number of atoms. There are how many total number of atoms? 5 into 10 power 21. Are we removing electron from all the atoms? If we remove 1 electron from all the atoms, how many electrons will get? 5 into 10 power 21 electrons. So many electrons we are removing, it seems. Is this correct? No, we are not removing so many electrons. Then What is the question? In the question it is clearly mentioned that we are removing one electron from every 0.01% atom. That means you have to find what is 0.01%. So 0.01% of 5 into 10 power 21. First find this. So what is 0.01%? So how do you calculate this? So 0.01, okay, into percent. Okay, will you write what? 1 by 100 into 5 into 10 power 21. So this is 0.01% of 5 into 10 power 21. If you calculate this, how much will you get? So this is 10 power minus 2, this is 10 power 2, it goes to the numerator, becomes 10 power minus 2. So 10 power minus 2 into 10 power minus 2 into 5 into 10 power 21. Okay. These are number of atoms, 0.01% of atoms of what? Of 5 into 10 power 21. So what is the value? 10 power minus 4, and this becomes 10 power 5 into 10 power 17. So from 5 into 10 power 17 we are removing electrons, one electron from each. So number of electrons removed, how many? Number of electrons removed, how many? 5 into 10 power 17. From every atom, from 5 into 10 power 17, every atom, one electron we are removing. So how many electrons you get? 5 into 10 power 17. Okay. So what is he asking? Find the charge gained by the solid. If you remove so many electrons, what charge will get? See, I told you this concept before also. In an object, if it is neutral, if it has positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative, how many charges it has? Positive charge is 4. How many negative? 4. So what is the net charge? Net charge is 0. Now, but suppose say if I remove 4 electrons, I removed 4 electrons. Okay, 4 electrons are removed off. So how much is the charge left? Plus 4. What is the net charge? Plus 4. Suppose if I don't remove all the 4 electrons, I remove only 2 electrons. Okay. So now what is the charge left? So you have plus 2 and this is 0, plus minus plus minus. So what is the net charge? Q net. So basically if we remove electrons, you will be left with positive charge. What if you add electrons? Suppose plus minus plus minus plus minus plus minus, like that you have. What is the net charge? 0. Suppose I am adding 3 electrons or 4 electrons with green. See, 1, 2, 3, 4. I am adding 4 electrons now. So plus minus plus minus plus minus plus minus, this purple color plus minus is adding up to 0. Extra how many electrons I have? 4. So what is the net charge here? Minus 4. Okay, minus 4 into, see, this minus 4 is just the number. So how will you find the charge? So minus 4 into charge on one electron you have to multiply. This is the charge. Same thing for plus also. If it was plus, suppose if the situation is like this. So how many plus signs we have? Only plus signs. Plus 2. So this became 0. This became 0. And here we have plus 2. So plus 2 into, what is the charge? 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 coulomb. So that will be 3.2 into 10 power minus 19 coulomb. Alright. So the point that I am trying to make here is, we have number of electrons. Okay. Here we got number of electrons. How many? 5 into 10 power 70. Is this a charge? No. So if we remove so many electrons, if we remove from this metal, how many electrons we are removing? 5 into 10 power 17 electrons we are removing. So how many positive charges will be left without any negative? So like this, we had plus minus, plus minus, plus, like that we had how many? So many we had. But how many we removed off? 5 into 10 power 17. So if we remove 5 into 10 power 17 electrons, how many positive charges will get? Same, 5 into 10 power 17 positive charges. Alright, 5 into 10 power 17 positive charges. So find the charge gained by the solid. So how many positive charges? 5 into 10 power 17. So what is the charge? Let me write that here. So charge for, so positive charge gained. Positive charge gained by what? By the solid will be how much? 5 into 10 power 17 into 1.6 into 10 power minus 19. Correct? Because charge on one positive charge is what? 1.6 into 10 power minus 19. So for so many it will be how much? 5 into 10 power 17 into 1.6 into 10 power minus 19. So simplify this, you'll get 5 into 1.6 is 8 into 10 power minus 2. So that will end up turning into 0.08 coulombs. Okay? Easy? Alright, fine. Next. So take this question now, try to solve this. So we have a question like this, that how many megacoulombs, mega means 10 power 6, how many megacoulomb of positive, how many megacoulomb of positive or negative charge are present in 2 moles of neutral hydrogen gas. Hydrogen gas means what? H2. So how do we solve this? Alright, so let us take, say we have H2 here, okay. Now inside H2, how many protons you'll have? 2. How many electrons you'll have? 2. Okay, this is for one H2 molecule. Like that, how many moles you have? 2 moles. You have 2 moles. So for 1 mole, what is the number of molecules for 1 mole? We have Avogadro number of molecules, 6.023 into 10 power 23 molecules here. Okay, that is for 1 mole, sorry. So 1 mole of H2 has how many molecules? 6.023 into 10 power 23. But in the question, what is given to us? 2 moles. Then 2 moles of H2 will have how many molecules? 2 into 6.023 into 10 power 23. Correct. So what is the answer? 6, 4, 0, 12. So 12.640, yeah, 12.046 into 10 power 23 molecules. Okay. Fine. Molecules of what? H2. Now inside one H2, how many positive charges you have? Number 2. You have 2 positive charges. So in one H2, you have 2 positive and 2 negative basically. Right? So we just have to find positive or negative. So we have, let us focus on positive for now. Doesn't matter, you'll get the same answer. So in a one H2 molecule, you have how many? 2 positive charges. So in so many, how many you'll have? So number of positive charges in 12.04 approximately, or 12.046 only, let us take, into 10 power 23 molecules. Okay, number of positive charges in so many molecules will be how much? How many in one? We have 2. So I'm writing this side, 2 into 12.046 into 10 power 23. This is what it is, just a number. What is this? What is this? Number of positive charges. Is this the charge itself? No, it is just the number of positive charge. Then how will you find the charge? So on one positive charge, or one electron or one positive charge, 1 E I'm writing like, okay, 1 E may represent one charge on one electron or positive charge. So that is equal to how much? 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 coulomb. So for so many, how much? What is the charge? Simple. So if you multiply these two, approximate value if you take, how much you'll get? 2 into 24, 2 into 12 is 24. 24 into 10 power 23, these are the number of positive charges approximately, into 1.6 into 10 power minus 19. So 24 into 1.6 into 10 power 4. So what is 1.6? So let us do one thing. So 24 into 16 by 10 into 10 power 4. This makes it 10 power 3. 24 into 16 is what? 16 4s are how much? 64. 6 and 2. 16 2s are 32. 38 into 10 power 3. But we have to write in terms of megacoulombs. That means you have to make this 10 power 6. So to make it 10 power 6, what you should do? Multiply and divide by 10 power 3. So 10 power 3 into 10 power 3. So 10 power 3 into 10 power 3, 10 power 6. And by 10 power 3 by 1000 means what? You get a point here. So the answer is 0.384 into 10 power 6. I mean 10 power 6 of course. That I'm going to write mega. Mega means 10 power 6. So together you'll get 10 power 6 here. Right. So that I'm writing megacoulombs. This is the charge. Finally, charge on what? This is a charge, positive charge inside 2 moles of hydrogen. Okay. Let's look at this solution once again. I think you should be able to understand easily. A particle has a charge. A particle has a charge. How much of 10 power 12, 10 power plus 12 coulombs. Okay, a particle has a charge this much. So, does it contain more or less number of electrons as compared to neutral state? What do you think? The first question is, does it contain more or less number of electrons when compared to its neutral state? What do you think? So see, I have told you already that in neutral state, number of positive charge or number of positive charges will be equal to number of negative charges. Number of positive charges will be equal to number of electrons basically, right? In neutral state. Okay. But here a particle has a charge of plus 10 power 12 coulombs. That means we have more number of positive charges or negative charges. See, let me just give you one example. Suppose we have a neutral atom. Okay. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 positive charges. So we have to have 7 electrons also. What is the net charge? 0. Right now the net charge is 0. But if I remove say these electrons, all the electrons I am removing. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 electrons I am removing off. Okay. Now what is left here? If I remove 7 electrons, is it still neutral? No, it's not neutral. Then what is there? If I remove off 7 electrons, now I have only positive charge. How many? 7. So in plus 7 positive charges we have. So what is the charge? So charge is going to be 7 into 1.6 into 10 power minus 19. Why? Because charge on one positive charge is how much? 1.6 into 10 power minus 19. For 7 it will be how much? 7 into 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 coulombs. Right? That only we are doing. So if you calculate this for this atom, what is the value of charge? So 7 into 1.6, 7 6 are 42, 4, 1, 1, 11.2 into 10 power minus 19 coulombs. Okay, this is a charge for this positively charged sphere or whichever object it is. So in the question is asking, a particle has a charge of plus 10 coulombs. Does it contain more or less number of electrons when compared to its neutral? So it is, the charge is positive. That means we removed electrons. When we remove electrons, the number of electrons should be less or more? Should be less, obviously. It should be less. Now how much less? So let us see that. So if Q is equal to, this I'm using, Q is equal to Ne. Okay. So what is Q? 10 power 12 is equal to, what is the value of N? And we have to find that. Charge of one electron is what? 1.6 into 10 power minus 19. Okay. So what is the value of N then? N is equal to 10 power 12 divided by 1.6 into 10 power minus 19. So this will become, so let me write 10 power 12 as 100 into 10 power 12, okay, into 10 power 19 divided by 16 into 10 power minus 1. Can I write like that? Yeah, obviously 1.6 can be written as 16 into 10 power minus 1. Now see, 16, will it cancel 100? If I write 6, in place of 16, if I write 4 into 4, what will you get? So if I write 4 into 4, so 4 ones, 425, like that. Like that, let me do one more thing. From this, okay, this became 10 power 10, right? Because 2 zeros we have used. So this has become 10 power 10. So let me do one thing. Let me make it 10 power 8 and take 2 more zeros. So this is 25. Like that. Here only I am doing it. Okay. So if I write 10 power 8 here, that means one more 100 I should get somewhere. Because we are in total 10 power 12. Okay. So 10 power 4 I removed. So how much is left? 10 power 8. So 4 ones are 425. 25 into 25? 625. Okay. And here how much will be left with? 10 power 8 into 10 power 19. That is 10 power how much? 27. By 10 power minus 1 goes up, it becomes 10 power 28. So you can write like that, 6.25 or simply 625 into 10 power 28 electrons were removed. So many electrons were removed to form how much charge? Plus 10 into 10 power 12 coulombs. Okay, plus 10 to the power of, plus 10 to the power of 12 coulombs. So how many electrons you have to remove? So many electrons you have to remove. Alright? We didn't make any calculation mistakes, right? So 100 into 10 power 8. Okay, fine. Alright, fine. So this is how you're supposed to solve questions based on charges, shown you different types of questions. Alright. So focus on properties also. Remember that there are certain properties like charge is transferable, right? Then we have this charge is conserved, right? Then we have charge in isolated system, by the way. In an isolated system, charge is conserved. Then what is the next property? Charge. What else we saw? Charge additive property of charges. Okay, so additivity of charge. That means we can add two charges directly, or two or more number of charges. Additivity of charge, we can add them directly, like 2 plus, if we have 2 coulomb somewhere here and 3 minus 3 coulomb. So what do you get? 2 minus 3 minus 1 coulomb inside net, right? That also we can do. And what else we saw? And we saw that charge is invariant. Charge is invariant. What is the meaning of this? That the speed of the charge does not depend on frame. Okay, it is frame independent basically. From different frames, if you see, the speed of the charge should remain same. You just go through the notes for this part, you'll understand. Then what else we saw? So charge is we saw this charge is quantized. Okay, charge is quantized. Q is equal to plus or minus NE. See, one important thing here is, in this thing is, charge is conserved. When you talk about this, if they ask you, can the charge be produced or destroyed? Can the charge be produced or destroyed? Yes, it can be. We learned about pair production. I told you, just go through notes for this also. Pair production. What is happening in pair production? Charge is produced. Although net charge is 0, but charge can be produced. And what about for annihilation? Here charge is destroyed. So these things we have seen already, right? So these are some properties that you have to focus on. Fine. Alright then, for this session I think this should be good. In the next session, I'll be discussing problems based on Coulomb's law. Alright, fine. Thank you.